Hi everyone, I am Rachel Easton, the Education Director for Harbor Wildwatch, and I'm sitting here next to Minter Creek in Gig Harbor, Washington, trying to coax the salmon up with my good luck salmon earrings. So hopefully they'll feel the pull and all the love that we have for them. Go ahead and post in the comments where you're watching from. We love to see that information and know just how far our reach is going. And then of course, if you have any questions, feel free to post those as well, and I'll do my best to answer those for you. So let me just flip this around and I can give you sort of the whole picture of what we're looking at here. So I'm standing on the estuary side of Minter Creek. Now, an estuary is where freshwater and saltwater mix together. So this whole area right now has just freshwater flowing from the creek, but our tide will change shortly. Actually, I think it's still going out a little bit. But twice a day, it's gonna, or I guess, it changes directions. We get 2 high tides and 2 low tides every single day, and that's going to flood this area. So you can see the ground where I'm standing is fairly swampy and muddy, and that is because this is kind of floodplain area. I was looking around earlier trying to see some fish and noticing some of the cool color changing leaves that we have right now. These are willow leaves that you can see. We've also got some alder, not really known for their color changing abilities, and a little bit of maple too. And then I just noticed this really cool, not a plant, not an animal either, but this really great mushroom. This is an oyster mushroom. And what we're seeing is just the fruiting bodies, just the spore producing portion of this mushroom. So deep within this log, there is what's called the mycelium, and those are almost, they kind of have a feel of roots. That's the part that's decomposing and breaking down this old rotten willow stump. And we can see these fruiting bodies, they come out generally when we get enough moisture in them. So last week's rain is probably enough that caused these to kind of come out, which is why we don't really see too many mushrooms in the summertime. It's just a lot drier. But these are beautiful oyster mushrooms. Now this is an edible species, but don't just run out into your woods and find the nearest fungus and take a bite. There are some very hazardous ones, and ones that you definitely would not want to take a bite out of. Oyster mushrooms are safe, but don't take my word for it. You're going to want to get a really cool guide to show you. Now look up in here. I can see this fruiting body right here is not yet really burst out. I would imagine in maybe a day or two, it would be as big as this. A really cool thing that mushrooms do is they have all the cells of their large adult organism. They're just like dehydrated. And so these spore-bearing fruiting bodies will just kind of wait until everything is right. It really reminds me of those little sponge toys you maybe had as a kid. They come in a little capsule and you put them in water and they're tiny and then they expand and get a lot bigger. So this is a decomposer. This is a species that is well known for kind of recycling nutrients. So it's taking this log and breaking it down. Other kind of evidence of animals that I see, there's a lot of insect holes here, little trails, maybe some woodpecker as well. Kind of cool to see. But yeah, we're just kind of hanging out here creekside looking for some fish. We unfortunately have another beautiful day, and I say unfortunately because this is not the kind of weather that salmon really like. They would much prefer if we had very drizzly, dreary rain, which I'm not as much of a fan of, but the salmon being underwater, they don't really get affected. And you can see still how clear the water is here. You can see the bottom easily. So if we were going to see fish today, which fingers crossed we do, they would be fairly visible here. And you can see as the leaves that are kind of traveling down that this is a fairly slow paced stream right now. In December, as we get a lot more rain, we're going to see even more flow through here, which is really what our salmon need. So I don't see any fish right there. Let's head up to the road. Again, I have to try my hardest not to fall. Don't laugh if I do. All right, I think we did it. All right, so I'm gonna just look both ways and it's safe to cross. All right, here we go. So we've got a good view of the creek. And you can see there's a lot of leaf debris that's piling up. That's part of what's turning the creek water this sort of tea colored, right? It's staining the water with the tannins. All these leaves that fall from all those trees and all that beautiful, glorious color up there is going to ultimately end up down in the creek. So let's walk a little farther up and see what we can see. So I'm just right along the side of the road here. There's usually some pretty good parking. If you drive by and there's lots of cars, it's usually a good sign that there's lots of fish to be seen. You just want to be careful navigating areas like this where it's very, very muddy. I recommend if you're going to visit a creek that you wear your galoshes. All right, so we're just looking at the creek, and what I'm looking for specifically is any sort of ripples or splashes that would indicate that a fish is moving beneath the surface. I'm also looking for their dorsal fins that'll stick up out of the water. This is a pretty shallow creek right here. In some places it's, only 3 or 4 inches deep. And so that would give us a really easy view to see those animals. So let's go up. So right at the corner of the hatchery, this is the Minter Creek Fish Hatchery, and they raise a number of different species, but the ones that we're waiting for right now are the chum salmon. So here is one of my favorite birds. I always said if I could transform into a bird, I might choose a gull because they are fantastic. Love to see those guys. They're very well adapted to living life on land and in water. They have webbed feet, they can swim. Last week we talked a little bit about the way that they keep their feet warm, them and ducks. It's really kind of a really cool process. Lots of beautiful fall colors still up on these big leaf maples. It's one of the largest maple species and has really big leaves. So you can see people on the East Coast are more familiar with leaves that turn kind of red and orange. This is about as colorful as ours get here in the Pacific Northwest, but still quite beautiful. Really enjoying all that color. Looks beautiful on the creek too. All right, so I'm gonna hike a little farther in. I'm gonna walk right along here. You gotta be careful because there's all these blackberries here. Blackberries are an invasive species. They're not native to here. They come from the Himalayas, but they really like our moist, nutrient-rich soil here, and they thrive in areas that have been disturbed by people. So we've got a lot of it that kind of hangs out around here. And it moves into disturbed areas and really just kind of fills it in. And then here's another invasive species. This is Japanese knotweed. And it leaves behind these canes here in the wintertime and makes you think that, oh, it all died. But no, it's all totally alive and will come back with a vengeance in the spring. All right, so before I get too far, I always like to check the mud for prints of any sort of predators. This is a good spot to see raccoons and river otters. And then I generally look for fish in places where there would be deeper water or slower flowing water. So the deeper part of that channel right behind that log is a really great place. Kind of creates a resting pool. There's kind of a little handmade little pond here, but I can come up here and show you, and we can look carefully. If you are viewing salmon, I recommend getting yourself some polarized lenses, because you can see just how strong the glare is. It's impossible to see if there were fish down there in the creek. You always kind of look against the sun to get a much better view. But no fish, I'm not seeing any right now. So, all right, I'm gonna across here again. Oh, here's some signs of fish. It's a little bit of fish vertebra here. Probably from one of the summer runs of maybe king salmon. I know they have king salmon here. So let's walk up. I'll take a look at the fish ladder and see if we can see any fish, but I'm not super hopeful because of how dry it is. What a gorgeous day. It means it's not a great day for salmon. Oh, just kidding, I saw one. Okay, so here we're looking at, this is the fish ladder. So the Minter Creek itself, the natural creek, flows down, and you can see that kind of waterfall. And keep your eyes, I'm gonna try, I have to climb down this slippery slope here, but I'm gonna try to keep the camera focused. And what you'll wanna look for, is a salmon fin right in the middle of those rapids. So I just saw two. So the way that the hatchery works is it's built here on the site of a natural salmon stream. So they know that this water can support salmon. They also have municipal water, I believe, that comes in through here. And that's what they use when they're dealing with species that are a little more sensitive and need more sterilized, cleaner water. So we've got the creek that flows, and then they put these grates across it. So they kind of create a dam where the fish can't go through. Now these are all movable, and this can be opened by the hatchery whenever they deem it's necessary to let the wild fish go up and spawn naturally. But just around the corner, just right up there, kind of take a hard left at the gate, is where the fish ladder is. And that's a way for the salmon to essentially climb up to the level way up there where the facilities are here. And so I'm just looking for salmon fins. There we go. Just saw one. So that's a good sign. That means the fish are kind of holding here. This is a nice kind of natural pool for them. I guess unnatural pool for them. And so they will kind of wait here until they really feel the push to head upstream, and they'll head either up the ladder, or if these gates are opened, they'll head upstream naturally to spawn. So that's good that we've seen at least a couple of fish, probably brought on by the sort of the rains earlier in the week. So we will keep coming back. I imagine next week and the week after, we should start to see a lot more fish as we get some more rain in our forecast. And what that does is it really fills the creek and makes it so that there is a large volume of water that's flowing, and that really sends a signal to all the fish that are out in the salt water waiting to come up that it's time, that the conditions are perfect for them to head upstream. But just, gosh, look at that beautiful color of the water. It's just reflecting all these gorgeous maple trees up there. So yeah, so let's sit for a minute. I was hoping that we would find a few more already spawned out salmon. So once they've either spawned in the hatchery or in the wild, these fish will die, and then their carcasses kind of wash out down the stream, and you can get really close up view of an animal that was alive just a few moments ago, and then you can kind of see some of their really cool adaptations. We've got a little gull here hanging out with us, taking advantage of those carcasses that wash down the stream. And those carcasses end up ultimately fueling the invertebrates that are in this creek. So there are many different kinds of bugs and things living on the rocks and gravel in here that'll all take those nutrients. They also will enrich the plant life around here. So we have such really, really tall, beautiful fir trees and cedar trees and maple trees, and they're all using the nutrients that are brought back from the ocean by the salmon. So those carcasses don't just go to waste. They're very important. They'll also wash out of the creek and enrich that whole floodplain area that we started our video on. So very, very cool to see. I'm glad we at least saw one fish. If you didn't see it, it was not very remarkable. We saw the dorsal fin of one, maybe two fish popped right out of the water here. So hopefully we'll get to see some more fish. We'll be able to, use the luck, of my salmon earrings. We're going to be celebrating salmon all month long here in lieu of our normal Chum Festival that we do kind of the third Saturday in November. We're going to bring you salmon content all month long. So stay tuned for that. Make sure to like and follow and share. All those things are great. This video will be posted just as soon as I get some internet to upload it. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll hope to see more salmon next week.